Today was bad. Light work, people. Light work. It seems we're soft all over the pitch.
Good evening, people. Welcome to another episode of Red Fellas on a Sunday night. As you can see as you can hear from my voice, I'm still recovering. To be honest with you, I don't know what I'm recovering more from. The FA Cup final, last night's show, or the Man City West Ham game today. But a lot's happened. Since last week's Red Fellas podcast. But it's always good to talk on a Sunday night. I'm awaiting my cup of tea. I think everyone else has their favorite drinks by their side. And this is always about Sunday night. Grab your drinks and let's have a chat about all things Liverpool. Red Fellas, as you can see, are on a bit of a holiday, all of them. And they left me alone, but I'm never alone. I never walk alone. I never talk alone. You know what I mean?
On.
I've got a team and a half with me today. Good set of lads. And of course, Errol don't need no introducing, so I'm not going to introduce him, but I'm going to ask him how he is. How are you, Errol?
Bro, I'm flying high, bro. Literally flying high. The mood has been good. It's been a mad jam-packed week, but that was just the icing on the cake. Well, there was icing on the cake, and today there seemed to have been a really small cherry, just delicately placed on top as well. And for the end of the week, we can just enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, in high spirits, in a very good mood. I'm very, very grateful to be here with you tonight to kind of enjoy it and kind of chop it up with you and get your thoughts.
Of course. And of course, another who's become a very regular on my show, and rightly so. The people love his input so far. Steve, how you doing, my friend? Again, thank you for coming on first. And secondly, how are you?
I'm in the same place as Errol, mate. I'm absolutely buzzing at the moment. Yesterday was all manner of things, wasn't it? And then today, as you both quite rightly pointed out, things kind of went our way. Well, they did go our way in London. So guess what? We've got another week of living the dream, another week of believing these things can happen, and bring it on. Let's do it.
Absolutely. I've titled the show Who's Still Dreaming, because people know my motto from weeks out has been dream until we can't dream no more. So we're going to ask, are we still dreaming, or is this becoming a reality? All of that stuff. Of course, I've got Nick from Saints LFC TV join me today as well, making his debut on my channel. He's been on a call-in show with me a couple of times, I think. But again, someone that people asked for, they said, yeah, man, you need to get Nick on a regular. So, Nick, welcome, my friend. Can you hear me, Nick?
Oh, sorry, Grizz. You know what? I was daydreaming, brother. You know, like that.
We're dreaming, innit? We're dreaming,
innit?
You took it literally.
Bro, you caught me mid. I was running around my bits with the, hey, fams. Yeah. Sorry. Nice to be back now. Listen, Grizz, love, thank you for having me. Much appreciated, man. And much like the lad said, man, I am gassed. I don't know about everyone else, but I felt like coming up to the game, we weren't on the same momentum that we had been. I feel like a little bit of air had come out of the balloon a little bit. What with, I think, the Fabinho injury was probably the last thing, and then I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know, I didn't feel as lofty as I had once. The rivals kind of pessimism was becoming to get a bit louder, I feel like, and now after this weekend, after what we done, after what City have gone and done, now I'm back to where I was, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is it, and I'm happy to chop it up with you, my guy.
Brilliant. Diogo, listen, you need to stop drinking, man. You got another 2 weeks to go yet. Come on, you got a massive season ending here. You're telling me you had too much tequila last night. If you want to know someone who had too much drink last night, go and check out people last night's post-match show that we done. It's one of my favorite shows of all time.
That was sick.
People need to go out and check it out. We had an absolute ball and a party. Oh, Errol, man, gonna come to you first. I'm battered, man. Just when we think the season's coming to an end, mentally, physically draining. Yesterday was a momentous occasion at Wembley. I was privileged to be there, and by the time I got home, I wasn't in no state, but I had to do a post-match show. And this morning was just recovery mode. Had some lovely food, which I posted pictures up on. You know, I like to put up some food porn. You know, now and again.
You got to chef it up every now and again.
You know,
Yeah, trust me.
So, but today I thought now is the time, Sunday evening, when we've had a look at the game, when we've had time to sort of cast an analytical eye to it on all the proceedings in terms of players, injuries, formations, that we can talk about it. So, first and foremost, how was you yesterday? Did you do the watch along yesterday? First and foremost,
No. So they was all in the studio. I had work, so I do work on the weekend as well, and I've been lumbered with the 2 Saturdays that we've got finals, so I was kind of like tied into that. But the vibe in town yesterday was just mad. It was just unbelievable. It was off the scale, so it was good to kind of see everybody elated and loads of red shirts, red flags, happy people. So that was nice. But yeah, in terms of the day and the aspect of that, for me, I kind of went into it with a little bit of apprehension, if I'm honest, because I think Nick Saint says down there, you know, there was a little bit where we had kind of just, I wouldn't say we've taken off the break, but I just feel like we've not run ourselves into the ground either, but you can see that there's mileage in these legs now. You can see that these lads are really just pushing. And I know we've had this conversation over the last couple of weeks about when you're winning, do you get tired? And you probably don't, but there's only so far momentum can take you before you've got to start pulling out other things and experiences in your bag. I think the key thing that we've pulled out is the experience of getting to other finals now. I think had this been the first season where we might not have won anything in the past and we'd had the opportunity to do all 4, I think we may have fallen away at certain points just because we wouldn't have had that experience to draw upon. And I just remember this one overarching thought in my head at the time. I was like, the next 48 hours could be monumental in terms of our season. I know we're kind of it's bottlenecked, but essentially we could have been sat on this show tonight and we could have been out of 2 of half the competitions that we was in this time last week. And imagine how much that takes out of your sails when then you're going to have to re-up again and then get yourselves ready for Real Madrid. So I'm thinking by hook, by crook, whichever way about it works out, we just have to get our hands on this trophy this afternoon. And that's our job done. We can worry about the City situation tomorrow, but we need to keep the train on the tracks. And that was just my underlying thinking. I wasn't asked about performance. I knew Fabinho was going to be a big miss. I wanted to see what kind of lineup he went with. But for me, that was absolutely key with it.
Yeah, I share those sentiments. I was all about, and it is always about, when you reach a major cup final, it's always about getting over the line. It's always about at the end of the evening, afternoon, whatever it is, it's your skipper that is walking up to lift it up. No one will discuss, they will discuss like on sort of post-match shows for a week or 2 like we may. But in months and years to come, no one remembers the losers really. Like I could ask you who lost the cup final in 2013, we'd struggle. You know, who's runners up in 2014, we'd struggle. Do you know what I mean? We may remember footballing encyclopedias like Steve might remember these kind of things. But the mere mortals won't remember runners up. But Steve, Errol talks about we knew the lineup would be as strong as possible. We knew the emissions of Fabinho would hurt us. When I found out at the ground that for them, Havertz is missing and Kante hasn't been selected, it kind of did make me a bit more confident. I'm not going to lie. The buzz around the crowd and everything was like, oh, no Kante, no Havertz. Lukaku starts, Pulisic starts. But looking at the 2 teams, how did you feel when the announcement of the 2 teams was? Did you think, of course, we feel positive in our team, but did the lack of a couple of players from their side make you feel a bit even more encouraged?
I think every single one of us could have predicted our team is picking itself at the moment. I've long been an advocate of saying we've got lads who are in the moment in terms of trying to win these 4 trophies. They have to be our go-to guys every game. And I know there's guys on the periphery of the squad that want minutes, want time. Curtis Jones being an example of that. But you have to go with the guys you know are going to get you across the line. So I think our team picked itself. You're right, Grizz. The loss of Havertz was huge. He gives them so much in terms of attacking dimensions, and he's very useful from set pieces, as we found out at Anfield early on in the season. It struck me that Kovacic and Kante would be 60-30 one way or the other as the lead up to the game approached, because neither was particularly fit. And I think they got as much as they could out of Kovacic during the game, and then they brought Kante on, and now he's snuffed out. I think it was Diaz at one stage, but he didn't really do much in the game. So I think they had their concerns too. We played our 60th game. They played like their 53rd game of the season. So we're long into the season, and fatigue is setting in now. And when you're winning games and you get to the stage where we are, you don't think about your injuries because you're on the crest of a wave and you want to get to the end of all of these competitions and win the trophies. So that will see you across the line more often than not. But totally agree with you. Lukaku was a strange one because that kind of played into the hands of our back two on the day. I mean, Konate's a bigger than Van Dijk, if that's possible, but he is, and Van Dijk's more than capable of dealing with Lukaku. So that was an interesting ploy to play with a bully up front, if you like, which is what Lukaku tries to do. So I was quietly confident, but if you'd asked me before the game, there's two teams you don't want to play in a cup final: Manchester City and Chelsea. So I had all that apprehension, and in recent weeks we've been surrendering chances to teams as well, which was a concern. I can recall all of us having conversations about how professional we were against Villarreal in the league game that followed that, where we gave our opposition absolutely nothing. And then suddenly all that control in recent weeks has gone. And, you know, the Villa game was a grueler, wasn't it? We had to work really hard to get through that. So that was a concern. But in terms of our team, I think he went with the best team he could go with. And I think, as I say, each and every one of us here would have picked that squad.
Absolutely. I'm going to confirm if this is my mate, Big Steve, in the building. Message me, man, if that's the real you, because, you know, people make fake accounts these days. But if that is, big up, Steve. He's probably on the way back from West Ham. Long journey for him. So that's nice of him to pop in. How are we? Yeah, we're nervous, mate. I know you're probably a little bit nervous now.
We're better than we were, though.
We're excited. But if that's the real Steve, big up. Message me if that's the real you. I'll mod you, Steve. Just a super chat before we come to the next. Before I come to Nick. Liam Bento, he says, in the immortal words of Crowded House, hey now, don't dream it's over. Ooh, it's definitely not over. Missed you on the Redmen TV watch along, Errol. Up the effing Reds, man, indeed. Nick, okay, people telling me it's fake, no problem. Here you get people like that making fake accounts. If Steve would have messaged me if he was a real Steve. Nick, game starts as we've spoken about, the team kind of picked itself. There was no surprises in it. But we start off, I thought we started off very similarly to how we started against Man City. I thought it's the best start we've made against Chelsea in all our games this season. I was so hyped up for that first 20 to 25, 30 minutes where we were so good. Mm-hmm. As in the immortal words of Pep, you cannot believe.
Nah, you're right, man. I agree with what you say in terms of I think that's the best half that we've started against Chelsea. Big up my boy Ishmael, who was at the game.
I believe I met him. I believe. I believe I met him.
Big. My guys, Ish and Roms, man. Shout them out each and every time. But nah. And it word to what Errol said as well, bro. We could have been here without two cups, and unfortunately, they would have been to the same fucking team. Imagine that. It would have been peak. Let's not even think, anyways. But so going into this, I was very like, yo, we need to kind of come out and hit them much like the City game. But you know what, Grizz? Not gonna lie, like I'm that sun was making me very weary, you know. Like I know it was all 25, 26 degrees, and I'm thinking, prior to the half starting off, I was like, please don't make it one of these halves where we're all over them, but we don't really actually get anything from it. And that's what the half tended to be. And I started to get very fearful for the start we were making, because I didn't want us to fade. And I know that these lot are it's like trying to chip away at a boulder. They're just so resolute when they want to be. Do you know what I mean? But Diaz was just on smoke and just causing them absolute terror. And it was a good thing to see. I was happy to see it, man. Just absolute smoke. They didn't have an answer for him.
They didn't. Errol, that first half, again, as I said, watching it from the stands, I've since watched it back. It looked like total domination, and not many people can dominate. Not many teams can dominate Chelsea, and especially we've struggled to dominate them per se in games, in recent games, where it's been a bit of more tactical, more slow, methodical. They wait for us. We kind of wait for them. We can't really break through them. But this was brilliant. We should have been 2-0 up, in my opinion, in that first half. That's the only thing that we're missing. People are saying that, the only thing that was missing.
Robbo chance.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure. I mean, even in the first couple of minutes, Diaz goes on the left, pulls it across, and then, none of the strikers anticipate it. It was just literally the only thing that was missing, Errol, right? A goal.
Well, that's the difference. And I think it's because, again, I'm not trying to throw any disrespect on the Portuguese league, but I don't think he's had as an intense start of his season as our front lads have. And I feel like that's where there's a slight disbalance at the moment. It's great that as an individual, he's able to continue to give 110%, or he's still got that in the tank. But clearly, Mane and Salah don't. Plus, they've been on, continental football as well. So he's got this pace where he's just moving at 100 miles an hour. And they're probably just being able to top out at 95 at the minute, which just means that if it's not 100% perfect, we're going to miss chances like that. And I think that's where we're going to enter into another key period now, where it's like, right, well, how do we manage that? So then when we get to Real Madrid's game, everybody can be as firing as on all cylinders as physically possible. But I thought it was a really interesting kind of sample size yesterday to kind of get a good measurement of it, because as you say, Chelsea, when the way they set up with that 3 at the back, they don't leave much space for us to exploit, and they haven't in the games that we've done. I think, I remember the one, it might have been the turn of the year when we played them at their gaff, and the way that we kind of exploited them then, it was very quick. It was bam, bam, 2 quick goals and we was up, but we never took any control in midfield after that point, and we allowed them to work their way back into the game. And I think that was probably in the back of our minds as well. It's what we did with City. We needed that 3rd goal to kill them off and to kill any hope. It's that kind of little bit of anxiety that if we get 1 and if we get 2, do we still have enough to continue the same level of intensity throughout to ensure that Chelsea don't scrape their way back into the game? Because I thought one thing that was really promising from our side was the start that we had. It fed into the crowd. So that then gave the crowd the home advantage that we needed. So we were strong then. I mean, we could sit there with our chest out and we knew we're in the game. We've started the better. We've got control. And I think that's where a lot of the games against Chelsea this season haven't gone our way. We haven't been able to have that full element of control. So I think it's the risk and reward of getting the goals, losing the intensity and losing control of the game, which allows Chelsea a route back in, and then it just can be flipped on its head very quick. And in a cup final, it only takes 1 mistake or 1 minute moment of magic or brilliance late on, and you can't get yourself back into it. When it's just been taken away from you. Whereas it was, right, we'll hold on to the fact that we've got this control and we'll see it out for as long as possible. And if we can find a clinical edge somewhere along the way, we'll take it from there, but we're not going to force it. And I kind of like that measured approach that we kind of deployed yesterday. And I don't know if it was just me and how I seen it, but I was still nervous, but probably not as nervous as I was early part of the Carabao Cup game as well. And I think probably the lineup probably added to that, because they don't have the same level of fluidity. And, as much as Lukaku can be a flat track bully, he's not playing Burnley, he's not playing Wolves, he's not playing Norwich. He's up against fucking Van Dijk and this young man who's a fucking man mountain in himself in Canate. So yeah, it was good to see, and it was good that the fans were able to fully get invested because of the display that we showed early doors.
Steve, I think Errol, as per, has made some stunning points, and as he was talking, I was nodding. You know, like the Churchill dog. You know, the Churchill insurance, like, because I agreed with everything you said, man. I wanted to say that, but I always like to hear, you know, other people say it as well. And then, you know, like you said, I don't know about you guys. I was like, no. Trust me. I was feeling the same because it energized the crowd that start, and that's what we needed. But he's also spot on about the control, Steve, because when we've played Chelsea, there's a lot of word on social media and pundits and saying sort of tactical Tommy, as I love to affectionately call him. It's like I know him personally, you know what I mean? Tactical Tommy has this sort of control over Klopp and the way he plays. And do you remember we spoke about, I expect Klopp to learn, and he does learn every time, how to deal with the same team or same tactics differently. I thought the key to that from the times we played him was our midfield. I think our midfield was totally dominant this time, and key to that was a certain Thiago Alcantara again. I thought his tempo setting. What's the name someone called him last week? Is it metronome?
Metronome, yeah.
Metronome, yeah. Yeah, we had a bit of a laugh and a joke about it. But since then, we've actually realized it's the perfect name for someone like him, because not only is he technically great, but he knows the timing of to speed it up and slow it down, Steve. Don't you think that was key in that opening first half hour as well? Because we couldn't go gung ho. As Errol says, they were literally waiting for us to lose it and counter. The one dangerous counter they had, where is it Mount drags it past, where Robertson's slightly eager on the left-hand side, where he loses the ball. That's the only thing they had. But Thiago Alcantara, with the aid of, obviously, we're going to go on to the other individuals, was so key in that opening half an hour in showing Chelsea, you haven't faced me. Since you guys have been playing, I've been up my game, and now I'm a controller at LFC.
Totally. There's a couple of ways you can control a game of football. You can limit space and limit opportunities for your opponents, or you can control the game with the ball. I think that was the key to the loss in the Carabao Cup final when he got injured in the warm-up, and you see him crying, and we bring in someone to replace him. He gives us the control with the ball, and there's an old adage in football, it's a bit cliched, but it's very true. If they don't have the ball, they can't hurt you, and that's what Thiago gives you. He gives you the option to recycle the ball. He will have the ball with two guys on him under pressure, because he backs himself to spin it out to somebody else and go across the pitch and open up space on the other side. Technically, have we had a better technical midfielder ever at the football club? That's a genuine question. It's a conversation for another day, but you can certainly put it out there. Just a wonderful appreciation of where to be, when to be there, where his teammates are, when to want the ball, when to not want the ball. What he's very clever at doing is pulling his marker away. That opens space for somebody else, and it works particularly well down the left-hand side for Robbo, and now with Diaz. And obviously Mane's dropping in a little bit deeper to pick the ball up as well from a central position. So I agree. Thiago's been an absolute revelation. And what's really key this year is, in comparison to last season, is we don't have games where we play particularly on the stretch. When we had no defenders and we had midfielders playing at centre-back, we were often running back towards our own goal, terrified of what might be. Now we've got that level of control back. We're pushing back four right up to the halfway line. Thiago's picking the ball up from them 10 yards off them, and he's just bringing everybody into the game. And metronome, whatever you want to say, is a brilliant analogy for him. He's key to everything we do for the remainder of the season. So if we have to wrap him in cotton wool for the next league game, then let's do it. That ability to control a game against Chelsea, we'll need to see that against Real Madrid too.
And it's his experience, Steve, as well, on top of that. As you say, coupled, he's won it all.
Well, he's won 30 trophies now. 30 trophies.
It's the way he's never flat when receiving the ball. He's always like at an angle. So when he gives you that dummy, he sells it every time, because he really could go that way, and he just opens up so much space. But in saying that, I'm gonna be the first one to say that guy nearly had my heart in my fucking mouth, bro. You know, like when his brain was working over fast and he doesn't control that ball and doesn't see. I was like, oh, Thiago. But now, other than that, he was
the beauty of him. I know what you mean, because he did do that once. But the beauty of him is again, like his experience gets him through that. Like it doesn't phase him. Do you know what I mean, Nick? So for example, if Curtis Jones does that, there's a very good chance. There's a very good chance it may affect his method and style of play for the rest of the game. Even though he's a naturally flair player, a natural guy who looks for breaking the line, doing those things, he might think, "Oh shit, not a good start."
It's panic station.
With Thiago is boom, and he was right back at it, and nothing changed. If you were like,
that's a massive, huge difference when you got a man like Thiago. He did lose that ball, but he thinks, "Okay, no problem. Relax, my mistake. I'm human. I can make errors, but I'm still going to try to do those passes when they're needed because that's what's going to help this team move further up the pitch and gain the control we did." That control was fine. Again, chances created. Chelsea ain't being pressured like that. You don't see Chelsea pressured like that. As Errol says, they're so tactically compact. They make it so hard for you to see any space on the pitch. They cover space very, very well. It was literally a back five. It was literally back five because Mohamed Salah, even though he wasn't having the best of games or he hasn't had the best of moments the last couple of weeks, he's always a major threat and they always double up on him. So therefore, we saw far less of Alonso at that stage. What's his name? Reece
James.
Reece James on the other side. You know what I mean? We're going to go on to sort of his counterpart in the game and talk about him. But Reece James was playing like a regular fullback in a back five. There was no wing back. It was just back. It was just back. Yeah. It was just back.
Yeah, it was a flat back five.
Yeah, it was a flat back five.
Out the IKEA warehouse to get.
Yeah. IKEA settings, man. Flat back. Yeah. But one of the keys was Luis Diaz, and it's just the final pass, the final shot.
Yeah.
That no doubt will come, Nick. But was you frustrated at any point, or did you think, no, it's coming, it's cooking?
You know what? Do you know why I wasn't right there? I'll be honest. There was room to have been frustrated because he was doing everything else right, and you're like, but me personally, I wasn't because I just felt, and I have done for a little while, that especially on that side, he's really like our ingenuity within our attack. Do you know what I mean? When literally, like, so I can't then pile on him. I'm just so happy that when we've got someone, he honestly doesn't know, the right back don't know whether he's gonna get skinned, whether he just, oh shit, he might stand me up. Just seeing that fear on that defender is enough for me. Do you know what I mean? Chalobah was on toes certain times, like he didn't know what to do. So I was happy enough, and I knew that eventually it would click. Mane would, do you know what I mean, and thingy. But there were one or two times when I was like, but it will come. We've seen it. City's seen it. City will tell you firsthand. Do you know what I mean? Like, it will come, and when it comes, it's gonna be, his game is gonna elevate. But the way he was really just, like I said, like just our je ne sais quoi in our attack, it was nice. So yeah,
it was nice. But Errol, Mohamed Salah goes down, and when Mohamed Salah goes down, you know it's serious because it's Mohamed Salah. He don't go down if he's just got a little niggle or if he's okay or whatever, because we know how strong he is. We know how he keeps himself fit. We know he's literally a machine when it comes to fitness and looking after himself. So when he went down, we just went quiet, because say what you want about his form, his class is never in doubt. His legacy will never ever be in doubt. So it's always concerning, for the game right there that day, but also looking ahead, Champions League. When Salah goes down, so obviously we know more now that it's not as serious, but Jurgen Klopp says he makes the call where he says, no, we bring you off and we preserve you precautionary. In years gone by, in seasons gone by, for example, the final against Madrid, where, with all due respect, Adam Lallana comes on to replace him, we're now in a position where we can either call on Bobby Firmino, Diego Jota, and the legend that is Divock Origi. He chooses to bring on Diego Jota, and we feel a bit more calmer that we've got another hitman coming on. So was you of the same calmness, or was you panicking by that?
I want to touch, to be honest, mate, with you, that was a 10-minute period where I was panicking, and I'll tell you the reasons why. Prior to Salah going down, Alisson takes that knock. I think I'm right in saying it was him that took the knock first, and that shit me up. I was thinking, raw. Like, I've got no qualms with Kelleher coming in, but I'm thinking, whenever Alisson's picked up a knock previously for us, that's been in for 4 to 6 weeks, maybe even longer. And if we end up in that situation right now, we could lose the spine of our team. Him as a goalkeeper, Fabinho in the middle. And then I'm thinking it only takes a Mane or a Salah to go down, and the spine of our team that's got us this far is ripped out. And then it's going to raise a whole other set of questions about our resolve and our credentials to be able to push on. So I was already heart in my mouth moment once I seen Alisson go down, and then I seen Salah go down, and I was cussing him. I'm not going to lie, I'll hold my hands up and say I was cussing him, because I thought the biggest game of our season is today. Fuck a Champions League, fuck a Premier League. This is the biggest game of our season, because, as I said to you from before, if we lose today, by tomorrow, and City could win West Ham, we could have lost 2 out of the 4 competitions that we was going to be in. Therefore, how do we pick ourselves back up? You're our talisman. You need to put your body on the line for this football club. And I think there was a part of me that was just, and I've just got to be honest with you, there was a part of me that was disappointed that he ruled himself out like that. It looked kind of innocuous. Again, because I think it was a groin strain. I think he's felt it pull and then he sat down. It didn't look like it was off the back of a bad challenge or anything like that. So, but again, as you rightly said, Mohamed Salah's the type of person where he knows his body better than anybody, and we know how much of a machine he is. So if he knows that there's an engine light going off, he needs to get that checked out before it breaks down completely. So in the moment, I was vexed, because I just felt like this is the most important game right now. We need to fucking win. But then when you look back and with hindsight and afterwards, retrospectively, and you can look back at it and you think, all right, yeah, it might have been a bit of a stroke of genius to try and take yourself out the firing line. And as you say, when we're in a position now where we can bring Jota on and it doesn't really disturb the balance, I think the one thing it did take was probably take away a little bit of the momentum gained up till that point. That's what I thought. For both teams, it went a little bit flat after that. Yeah. And Chelsea then was able to, they got a little bit of a lift where we had to kind of regroup, get our breaths, gather our thoughts, and kind of start building the blocks again from scratch, where it wasn't an ideal time for that to have happened. But as you say, now you can look at it at the back end, and what happened, and it's in the history books now. I can fully respect the man for saying, I don't want to hinder this team. I only want this team to be able to do it. And the question you should probably ask yourself, or we should probably be asking ourselves, is if he doesn't know that we've got the ability of a Bobby, a Jota, and a Origi, does Mohamed Salah push himself through that pain barrier?
That's what I was just going to say.
I'll take
it. In opposition to how you were feeling. So, like, it's funny you said that, because you said in terms of when it happened, I thought you were 100% right. Thought we'd build up some momentum. Yeah. But guys, I'm going to be very honest with you here. I think we can all see that Salah hasn't been himself for some time. And my thing personally was Salah needs to just rest. He needs to just, he's been overplayed. I've said it before. He's done 120 minutes in the African Sun. He's done 120 minutes in the Carabao. He's doing 120 minutes. He's just not looked himself. And being the type of player that he was, obviously Klopp isn't in the position to be like, I'm gonna like risk it by giving rest you. So opposed to how you were feeling, though, I actually was quite, I don't know if happy is the word. You can never be happy in that situation, but I was far more okay with it, should I say, than you were. I actually was like, and the way in how innocuous it looked, the way in which he, like you said, I felt better for it. You felt worse because you're like, brother, you don't seem that bad. Fight, go on.
I can't do the thing.
I was like, brother, that don't seem that bad. You can finally get the rest you need. And let's be honest, you ain't really been doing too much anyways. It's not like we're taking Mo Salah at the hottest right now. I'm thinking, bro, you've been looking hella meaty in a lot of games. And I feel a lot more confident with a rested up Salah going into that Champions League final than I do him. And on top of that, I thought, you know what? We've got adequate backup. Like, we're okay now. So there is not, don't kill yourself for this when, do you know what I mean? We've got the depth that we've all been crying for. Let our manager do what he does, and we could, and again, they weren't on us. It wasn't a great time, but we went under great pressure. I just thought, yeah, we'll just build again and then we'll get back onto them. So, you know what I mean? I just thought.
You're right. And Steve, one of the things was, as we discussed earlier, and we've allayed to it even more, is about sort of, even when he's not at his best, he creates space for others. And that was what's happening. Luis Diaz was getting a lot of space in that first half an hour. What I noticed, guys, was as soon as Jota comes on, Alonso started getting a bit more space and more brave, I should say. Not space, but he became more brave on that side because he knew, okay, Diogo's going to play it totally different. Salah plays it totally different. I was very okay at the time with Diego coming on. Jota comes on. My one gripe, lads, and tell me what you guys think. I like Jota through the middle. I'm okay with Jota on the left. I don't like Jota on the right. Now, in that last, was it 15 minutes before half-time? Yeah, I just thought it gave them a little bit of impetus because we couldn't build up the attacks like we were being able to with the Trent and Salah and who's the other guy that played on the right, Naby combination. It was slightly different. We had to adjust, which is natural. And it gave them a little bit of impetus. Was you at that point any concerns with that as well, Steve? Or was you okay that, look, maybe he's going to see at halftime and then swap their roles, like Diaz comes to the right, Mane goes to the left, and Jota through the middle, or something like that?
Yeah, I did think that might happen. It kind of comes across to me that when Salah goes off, Rudiger says to the fullback, I've got it because this isn't Mo Salah, and Mo Salah can create something out of nothing, as we well know, in terms of his attacking ability. So Rudiger says, I think I can deal with this, just be in the vicinity type of thing, rather than come and double up with me and we'll make sure this guy gets nothing. And that has a big effect on the shape of the game, and Chelsea growing confidence. And you're quite right, towards the end of the first half, Marcos Alonso became a feature of the game, much more so than previously. And that would purely be because the capacity for us to cause damage with Salah is gone. I think in answer to a question that came out earlier, if we're 2 years ago and we don't have the cover, I think he still takes himself off because of his groin, because he's very, very alive to his own body and his own mechanics. He has a score to settle in his own mind with Real Madrid. So he's lying there on the pitch at Wembley thinking, yes, this is an FA Cup final.
You can see the cogs turning, Steve.
Yeah. And he's thinking of Paris. Loud on that pitch, he's thinking, I need to make sure. So I felt a twinge, or I felt a bit of uncomfort. I'll go down. He's not thinking with 2 years ago. He's thinking with where we are yesterday, and we've got cover. Who will we bring on? It's fine. We all bat every one of them. Jota comes on. Jota did a little bit more coming deep, playing towards his own goal in the first half, which we've not seen him do. That must be something they're working on in training, because if Jota is going to be a founder member of a front three going forward that replaces the trusted trident of Salah, Mane and Firmino, he's going to have to learn to play with his back to goal, because that will always be a Liverpool thing because of the way we play. It might be Jurgen Klopp and not Bill Shankly, but the fundamental way of playing with your back to the ball, pass and move, Klopp gets that. And we've got that in abundance in the side in terms of the movements in the front three. So it's good to see Jota dropping a little bit deeper, and his link play was better. It's not the finished article, but it was better. What it does give you, I think, more than Salah potentially, is he will run in very direct lines into the centre of your box, whereas Salah picks the ball out up wide. And if you close him down with two guys and your central defensive midfielder, he then works the ball back to Trent and it goes infield and we try and build again. Jota will make different runs, so he keeps you a little bit honest in different ways. But moreover, I think what I'm trying to say is, I think Salah goes off irrespective because he's thinking of Paris. But what a great position we're in, where we can call upon. We've got 7 guys who've scored approaching 10 goals or more this season. I don't remember Liverpool Football Club ever having that in my entire life. So it's an embarrassment of riches to go to. And you don't mind who it is. If it was Bobby, that would have been great. It might have even helped us a little bit more, gain a bit more control because of what he does. But Diogo Jota's got, nearly 20 goals this season. So it's not bad to come off the bench, somebody of that quality, is it?
Absolutely. We've just got a couple of super chats that I want to get through. We want to let them know that I'm not ignoring them. Kay Lafter says Stevie's going to do the madness, lads. We may touch upon that later. And Joseph Tyrrell says he makes a good point. It's not a super chat, but he made a good point about the neuroscientist company. We'll discuss that if we get a chance to as well. Conroy, I was going to say. Conroy's on my mind. Shout out Conroy.
Big up Conroy. Come on.
Yeah, he's having fun in Greece. Funny enough, and we will go on to talk about a Greek Scouser that actually ends up winning the. Yeah, well, there you go.
Exactly. Scouser Greek.
Yeah, Scouser Greek. Yeah, as he's corrected everyone. First and foremost, there's over 520 of you in here. Big up yourselves. Much love and respect. Always humbled with a love and support on this channel.
On the workout.
Yeah, it was not even a workout, Errol. We don't even ask them for a workout. We just ask them for a little warm up. Just tap it, just warm it up. Just tap it up, warm it up.
Free, man. It's quick.
So we go into the second half, Nick, and for the first time in the whole game, they have a period of about 10 minutes where they seem to think we can't just sit here and wait for something to happen. We have to try to make something happen, because eventually something is gonna fall in their way, or a moment of genius or something. They have about 10 minutes of I say control for the first time. I felt nervous, but again, this team never ceases to amaze us the way we regained control. The sign of a great team, in my opinion, I don't know if you agree, is when you feel like that, when you have a moment in that, because let's not get it twisted. They're the 3rd best team in the Premier League, possibly top 5 in Europe, I'd say, right? They're going to have phases of play. They're under a great coach, but the way we wrestle back control, I felt so good and proud about this team, even though it was still 0-0. Even though we ain't won, we ain't scored, the way we wrestled back control after that first 10 minutes, because I thought, Salah's gone off. Has it affected them mentally? Has the other team thought, there's no Salah, let's press up a little bit? They gained a little bit of control, got in a couple of times behind us. I was so proud of the way we regained control. How did you feel in that opening 20 minutes of that second half?
I think you're 100% right in terms of that was their main. I felt that was the main time when I felt the most kind of discomfort. Yeah. I did feel like, and again, I felt so proud of how we came out of that. And I think mainly that was due to, again, our midfield. I think in that time, Henderson was so good, like so good in terms of, obviously he plays the 6 differently to Fab. And Fab's a little bit more intelligent with his movement, and can cut off those kind of those passing lines. But what Hendo was doing was just being robust and able to just hurry them. I thought Keita off the ball in that period was really good. I haven't really seen Keita like that generally, but his physicality and helping Hendo give Thiago a little bit more time to then try and give our, do you know what I mean, let our pace. And I just thought that they were just there at that point. I was very proud of our midfield, and I was really, really proud of our team. I thought yes, I did feel a little bit vulnerable, but at no time can I really remember that I know Pulisic had a couple of opportunities that I wasn't really happy with, but again, nothing really gilt-edged. And I have to give credit to our midfield for that, man.
Nick touches upon the midfield, Errol, and I want you to carry on the Henderson praise chat. Or you don't need to. It's praise because it's deserved. A lot of slight doubts when Fabinho was out, and we there's a bit of a fear, like, oh man, Fabinho. I've often said, and I said it last night again, I've said it before, I prefer Henderson in the 6 for us. That's my personal opinion. I know he plays it differently, 100%. But I think there is a lot of teams that we can play against in the Premier League, that we don't need Fabinho, and then we can afford to rest him, and Henderson plays it perfectly. I thought as a leader, mentally, physically as well, but people doubt his physicality, Errol. People always talk about him not being able to last 90 minutes anymore. Well, watch yesterday how he lasted 120 minutes, marshalling that midfield side to side. I thought he was magnificent, Errol.
Well, and again, maybe we were all used to Klopp's genius, and maybe I'm just kind of creating scenarios in my head that make him even seem more genius than he might actually be. But there might have been there might have been a moment in the last couple of weeks where he's looked at Fab and said, "Ooh, I need a contingency. If anything was to happen to you, I need a fully fit Henderson to do up the six for big games, 90-minute spells for 2-3 games potentially at any given time," which might have been the reason why Henderson hasn't featured in the side 8 on that right-hand side as often as we may have wanted him to in the last couple of weeks. And we're like, why is the captain not starting in a big game, Champions League? He's not starting in this game. He hasn't started in that game. What's going on? And I think it's probably just the game management aspect of it, really, where if anything was, such would, God forbid, happen to Fabinho, who do we use? And if Henderson's been run into the ground as well, you can't really play Millie in that role. It would take too much away from Thiago if you ask him to do that job for us. So maybe I might be stretching, but I'm glad that we've been able to draft in Jordan Henderson in that role, because he's got so much value to this team. And as I say, any big game that you're going into, you want your club captain there, you want your captain of the pitch, of your team there, pushing you on. He sets the tempo, he dictates the pace, he's constantly barking orders and shouting people and telling other people what they need to be doing and where they need to be. And for me, he's a battler. And the thing about Jordan Henderson, mate, is not in this day and age now, and I keep it 100, we talk about white privilege a lot. Jordan Henderson, when it comes to football, has never been afforded any white privilege.
Trust me.
He has had to work for everything tooth and nail to get any level of credibility or respect on his name. And that level of mentality that he's been instilled in himself pushes him on to go further and beyond. He's the only Donny that's lifted it all for us. Literally, been there to lift it all for us. And he's seen us at our worst and been a part of us getting to our best. And his will and his desire has never waned, even when certain fans have doubted whether he's going to have the ability to take us as far as he's took us now. And I just think he's an absolute credit to this football club, because you were stepping into some of the biggest shoes ever when you took the reins from Steven Gerrard. And that in itself was always going to be a massive monkey on your shoulder. But the fact that you took it in your stride, you took all of the best of Steven Gerrard's leadership qualities, might not necessarily be his footballing qualities, but you took the best of his leadership qualities and then made them your own, and then brought your own qualities to it as well. And you hold the squad to we've got no divas. You know what I'm saying? We've got Mohamed Salah and we've got Talisman, but we've got no divas.
100%.
We've got none of these hairdryer players that want to turn up to the photo shoots but not turn up on the pitch. And that's because he sets that level of accountability, and it just ripples throughout the team. So Jordan Henderson is a massive, massive part why this Liverpool team has the mentality that we've got on the pitch, and we're delivering Klopp's message. And it was telling at the end of the game yesterday, when they're all travelling back, him and Trent are sitting on the coach next to each other. There's a picture of them. And you're kind of just thinking, he's taking Trent under his wing now. It'll be eventually you, lad. So I'm going to pass the guard, and I'm going to share my thoughts and my insights with you, because you're the rightful heir to this armband at some point.
First one to commemorate them, man, they're my captain. Like that. Like, he's just a don.
Steve, Errol touched upon some of the things that's accustomed, sort of you sort of relate when you talk about Henderson, and segues perfectly into the next player that I want to speak about, because in the 74th minute, there's cramps everywhere. So around that time, there's cramps on both sides, people falling over. It's a hot day, high energy game, cup final, tensions are high, stress levels are high. no breakthrough. So many close shots from either side, just whizzing past the post every time. And you can see Naby Keita, as Nick said, off the ball is an absolute machine these days. People don't realize the work Naby Keita does off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly tiring around the 74th minute. And then we've spoken about Henderson, and someone in the mold of Henderson who's been an absolute credit. I want you to speak upon James Milner, because he comes on, again, a few eyebrows possibly raised. Milner, with extra time still to come against Chelsea, who I think around that time brought on Kante. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe it was actually extra time. I'm not sure, because that was their plan, to play Kovacic until he could, and then Kante comes on. We bring on our own sort of machine in terms of James Milner. Again, I thought the attitude he came on with was never in doubt. It's never in doubt with James Milner. But not only did he bring that winning mentality, that trophy collecting mentality, the one who's been there, done it through all the different phases of Liverpool since he's joined, he actually brought a lot of calmness in the play. He actually ends up creating the chance for Robertson that could have and should have possibly won us the game right at the last minute. Again, I thought he was magnificent.
Yeah, you can make a lot of the same reference points for both Milner and Henderson in terms of what they bring to the club. Both grounded lads, both know what the manager wants. It's been said of James Milner that he deals with a lot of the problems, puts the fires out before they even get as far as Linders and Klopp, because he's a seasoned, experienced pro. First thing he did when he came on is probably should have got a yellow card, because he smashes somebody. Yeah, absolutely smashes him.
Smashes James.
Aside from that, which is a welcome breather for the team, because Chelsea were going through a phase where their tails were up a little bit, and that's the reason for bringing Milner on, to shore up the shop a little bit. And to get a little bit of control in, a little bit of steadiness in, and another voice, because Henderson's been on there for over an hour, and he's
my guy Rob.
Exactly right, and he's working hard, communicating and doing his own job, and it's difficult to try and do everybody else's job as well as your own. So when you bring someone else like Milner on, who's a consummate pro, that ball in for Robertson, by the way, was if Trent does that, we're crowing about that.
Waxing lyrical.
Yeah,
brilliant ball,
true.
brilliant
Very
ball.
True.
I think what you need when you get to sort of 74, 75 minutes is you're all thinking, and all the experienced players are looking at the potential for extra time. Because when you get to 75 minutes, what you don't do is take risks. You manage the game when you know extra time's coming, because you don't want to be the guy that tries something in the 86th minute and you cost your team a goal. So everyone becomes a little bit more pragmatic and plays a little bit more sensibly. So you bring someone like Milner on that can manage you through the game, and manage the inexperienced players through the game, and give them the right information, and talk to them and nurture them and help them get through, and alongside Henderson. That's absolutely invaluable. The foul on Reece James, he makes up so much ground to do that. The guy's 37 years old, and he's an absolute machine. He really is. Sign the year extension. It's fine. It's for what you give the football club. Sign the year extension, please, James, because you are like a on pitch lieutenant when you're there. You do all the things that Klopp wants you to do. You dovetail with Henderson so well in terms of supporting the kids, the League Cup and stuff like that next year, when we blood the youngsters again and we try and do what we did this year with a mix of the two. He'll be vital for that. And hopefully, this is how much I think of this guy. Hopefully, before too long, he's in the backroom staff doing a job at Liverpool Football Club, bringing his professionalism, his experience. It's not. Do you remember the video clip against West Ham where he got taken off and he's remonstrating with Klopp, and then Salah scores and they laugh and they have a cuddle and he pushes him away? Do you know what? It doesn't matter how much you pay a footballer. He's either got that or he hasn't, and it doesn't matter how much money you pay him. He will give your squad that, or he won't. And I think when James Milner's Liverpool career is said and done, and you're probably looking at 12 months from now, realistically, because he'd be 38 then. All we'll be able to do is sit there and go, wow, what an absolutely superb signing he was. He's played more games for Liverpool than any other club that he's been at. And he will be more... Say again?
He deserves a testimonial.
Totally. And he will win more trophies at Liverpool Football Club, potentially, than he won elsewhere collectively. Yeah. So, as far as a free transfer goes, that guy's absolute top draw. And I looked at it and thought, wow, he's bringing Milner on. And then after 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Milner's got this. He's got it all under control. He's there for his stewardship. He's there to see them through to extra time when Klopp gets a couple of minutes to talk to them about slightly different game plan and what have you. And you also got one eye on penalties. And does the guy ever let you down from the penalty spot? Absolutely not. So inspired substitution, bit left field in terms of, wow, he's bringing Milner on. He's not an impact player. But what he did was just bring the extra edge of professionalism and control in terms of what we were just trying to do to get to the final whistle.
I think extra time comes, Nick, and the only significant thing from a Liverpool point of view that concerns us, definitely concerns us, was the substitution of Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip comes on. Now, obviously, at the stadium, we don't know what's happened. Why? Because there's no sign of any injury or anything. Then obviously, it gets relayed through, obviously, Twitter and whatever, that it's a slight... Virgil van Dijk slightly felt something. Joel Matip comes on, and extra time, in my opinion, I think both teams had settled that if there's either a moment of genius or there's a mistake, but no team's going to push for a goal in terms of overcommit. The stakes were too high by then. That's how I felt in the ground. I don't know how you thought, Nick. Again, Virgil van Dijk goes off. That's no Fabinho. That's no Virgil van Dijk. There's no Mohamed Salah. The spine of Liverpool of the last 4 or 5 years, right? Of course, everyone's been brilliant and great, but this is the spine. Any concerns when you're going into extra time without your spine, or how was you feeling basically at that stage?
You know what? When did Simicast come on?
So Simicast comes on just about 10 minutes to go before penalties.
Yeah.
In extra time.
Okay.
So
he wasn't on by that time. Okay.
No. So first is Diaz and Van Dijk come off.
Van Dijk come off in it.
And Firmino and Matip come on.
I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit. Going back to how I was a bit deflated, just because I didn't know much like yourself. Obviously, I wasn't at the stadium, but we didn't hear, much until late. And I was thinking, like Virgil van Dijk's gone. Like I've got one. I'm very much engrossed in this game, but I have like one eye on the. I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking so. When the extra time starts, I'm quite deflated, and I'm like you said, our spine's kind of gone. But funnily enough, I wasn't so deflated that I thought, we're gonna lose. I just wasn't on that. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't.
Just for Virgil, you were disappointed.
Yeah, I was just a bit like, really,
not for the game. You was deflated
because I still thought, we're all right. Do you know what I mean? And like yourself, I'd kind of come to the conclusion that neither team was really going to push unless we had an opening and overcommit ourselves. And I was like, Matip's fine. Do you know them ones? And he proved to be. I thought Matip was really good when he came on. Absolutely immaculate. And so I had nothing to worry about. It was more, and I never did. I never thought, oh my God, Virgil's going off now, like you said, because of the game. It was more, I hope he's all right going forward. But yeah, I have to spend some time and utilize over Matip. He was really, really good. And I just thought that we looked as solid defensively as we had done prior. I can't really remember much that they really done to make me change my mind in that position.
I want to speak about Ibrahima Konate. I want you to mention, I was at the game and one incident, I don't know if you guys remember it, but I had a very good angle of it, and that's why I want to speak upon it. For me, it was one of the best moments of the apart from the penalties and of the winning, but in terms of Ibrahima Konate, I saw when Virgil went off, I saw him grow even bigger. And that's the thing that I always look for in a young player. And obviously, I don't mean physically grow, but his aura suddenly became of a man, of a leader. There was one incident when Kante has the momentum on him on a run. And I spoke about yesterday. So Ibrahima Konate from a standing position, and you got to remember he's 6'5" or whatever he is, yeah?
He's a beast.
And even though he's an animal and is a beast, it's very difficult to, from a standing start, even though Kante may not be the quickest, but he's nimble. Kante had the run on him and possibly going through in the last fresh legs and all of that. That piece of defending for me, Errol, I wanted to stand up and just clap. You know, like how in Nutty Professor is Hercules. Yeah, that was me. I wanted to just say, that was me, bro.
That's right.
That got me so pumped and going. And I thought, this guy, God forbid any injuries or anything like that, is the stalwart of our defense for years and years to come, bro.
Yeah. He's something else, man. And I like his personality as well, because every time we win, he always puts up some Dragon Ball Z anime fucking Super Saiyan shit. And I'm just like, this guy gets it. Or he gets me. Not to win. But that moment, Kante's using all of his experience in that moment, because he does something with his body that tries to draw Kanate into him, which then makes him say, right, you're going to come into me and I'm going to expose all that space by knocking the ball past you. And for a split second, because we could see it on the telly, I'm saying, I'm reading that situation like, nah, he's drawing him in to just knock it past him. And you know, when you're just thinking to yourself, I can see what is about to happen. And Kanate just rewrote the script. He literally just took it off the presser, changed the edit real quick and just said, no thanks, not today. And I was like, this guy's on it. Like, he's actually on it, though. And he's like, but when I say on it, he's on that level. He's on that level of young, talented football professionals that will eventually be the world-class all-stars in 3 to 4, 5 years' time. You'll be putting them in world 11s, provided, as you say, that he's fit and he keeps available for us. Because he was just... Again, as you say, he played a good game all game. He would been up against another person, from them that would like to be physical. But, even when he put Loftus-Cheek on for 15, another battler. I'm a battle with you too. That's no biggie. There's nothing that you're stressing me with. I've not had to use too much of my recovery pace. And there's those moments in that game now where one thing I would say, even though Kante's probably put a lot of mileage on his clock, as you said, that low center of gravity, if he gets that draw in right,
it's next level. It's next level.
It's difficult. You've got us on the back foot and you've turned us round and you've taken one of our key defenders out of position, so far out of position that you should be able to punish us for that. And you'll have the pace on him. You'd think you'd have had the pace on him because Kanate's fucking played 110, 15 minutes at that point, but he didn't. And Kanate just stuck with him. And then in the end, it was like, you might not understand what I'm about to say. Yeah. You know, them days when you go around to families for your Christmas dinner or your traditional dinner, and the little ones are about to run to the table, and you say, "Nope."
You did. You did. Bro, can I remind you, yeah? This guy is 21 years old. Like, have you, bro? There was one of the bits for me, and I don't know if you clocked it. This is when I was like, "This guy is a G." He's 21 years old. He is an absolute brick shithouse. He's the type of defender that man like Lukaku salivates, yeah? And there was a point where he tried to back into him like he does most people, and where he
90%.
And he just went, what? No, and just stepped past him. And I just thought, you are, like Errol said, you get it. You're not going to engage with this guy and gives him what he wants. And like, how it's easy for you to, like, for a young 22, sorry, my bad. But 22, 21, brother, the guy's a kid. He's a fetus, bro. You know, like that, in playing in a final.
Footballing terms?
Bro, he's a fetus, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? Outwitting. It's not about outmuscling. That's why I said, like, because a man with his stature, we've seen the Troy Deeney's do it to man like Lovren. You know, when you just engage man in an emotional game and like, nah, I'm not getting into that with you. Like,
he doesn't get rattled.
You rely too much on the stature. You see them men that are big and they know they're big and they can bully and they'll go for a tussle. They're just relying too much on the stature, and there are times when that can be exposed. And as you said, the Troy Deeneys, the Lukakus, the Kanes, them type of players will feed on that and play off it, and they will expose you because you just want to get into a physical battle, and I'll just be too smart for you. But Ibu's he's like a hybrid. He's got the brain power,
trust me,
as well as
the physical power. Stature, and he's just and the speed on top of that.
Is when he was at Leipzig, all of those things that you said that people would want to do to him, they were able to do to him. There were times when he was caught out of position. There were times when it was done by clever forwards. In the time he's been at Liverpool Football Club, he has learned so much already and improved. You can't imagine the amount of improvements. It must be really good for the coaching team to see the way he's learning. But to be honest with you, who isn't going to learn alongside someone like Virgil van Dijk? And when he's not there, Joe Matip is going to teach him things as well. So he's in really, really good hands. His footballing brain is still developing. So give him 2 or 3 years' time when he sees danger the way that Van Dijk sees danger, because Van Dijk's an IQ defender. He sees danger long before it happens and very often doesn't have to use all of his physical attributes, whereas Konate still does from time to time. That will change. And I think we'll be having conversations about Konate along the lines of, where does he rank in the greatest Liverpool centre-halves of all time? Because he's got everything all in his locker to be that guy, to be that good. You know, he's got pace, he's got power, he's great in the air, both defensively and in attack. He will learn to read the game better. He's going to have to learn to read the game better because football's going to change and he'll have to change with it. It's really exciting where this guy gets to because, 6'5", probably the quickest guy in the club in terms of a foot race. There's not much he hasn't got except for experience, and he's going to get that. So I think it's right to have a little segue and talk about him.
It's another segue, and these haven't been planned, people. These are just natural flow of chats that we're having, and it's segue. And I want to come to you, Errol, because I know you got to leave us in a couple of minutes. And Trent Alexander-Arnold talking about legacies and people that are going to be at our club for years and years to come, and talked upon about the greatest and whatnot. Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I have to read it off because I don't know it by heart. That's how much he's won. Yeah, so that's how much he's won. I have to read it off.
All he is.
Has now won the Premier League, the Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, UEFA Super Cup, and the World Club Cup. Not to mention his individual awards such as PFA Team of the Year, World Team of the Year, and he's only 23 years old. Errol, this guy is phenomenal in every sense. And I've seen, again, very much like I've spoken about Konate's maturity when Virgil van Dijk came off, just his whole demeanor throughout the last few weeks. Of course, he's got that affiliation because he's Scouse and he's local and he knows Liverpool, of course. But I'm loving his maturity every time he's interviewed. I'm loving his calmness on the pitch now. I'm loving that he's focused on his defending now because, again, he wasn't amazing going forward. Of course, that pass that everyone's talking about was sensational to do, as in the first half, very Steven Gerrard-esque. But the way he defends now, the last-minute clearances. Steve was talking about how Virgil reads the game. I think his reading of the game is getting better and better, which helped him clear those balls where I thought, they're in at the back post. Guess who's there? Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is supposedly weak at defending. This guy is becoming the perfect all-rounded fullback and taking the fullback role into another level, in my opinion. Speak on the guy.
Before I speak on Trent, I just want to have a moment's silence for Reece James.
I'm with you.
Because he will never be able to touch the levels that TAA touches. I've heard you say it before, Grizz. He's Trent Alexander, the Great Blood. Like, this young man to have won it all, the first Englishman, not even Englishman, the first Scouser. We're not English, we're Scouse. That's
Trust me, dog.
That's how we do from Liverpool. There's no two ways about it. Like, he is the first Scouser, yeah, to have won it all under the age of 25. There's been Rooney, there's been Owen, there's been Gerrard. These are in the recent years, recent times, that have been great Scouse footballers that have went on to do amazing things on international levels. In some cases, have won it all across the continent. But Trent is the one. He is. You know what? Sometimes I always go back to that Chelsea game when Gerrard done the slip, because there's a young boy as a ball boy there watching his fucking idol and his hero slip up, dreaming that one day I will get the chance to replicate the legacy that you've actually done.
Oh, shit.
And not only has he replicated it, he's elevated it, he's extended it, he's added a new dimension to it.
He's
And
put
now-
braids on it. He's a G, bro. Hey, come on.
Like, and it's 100% true. Someone in the chat there saying Curtis is decorated as well, and yeah, he is decorated, but he hasn't had the same level of impact that Trent has had, and I think that is a very fair thing to say. And I'm 30, turned 30 last year. I look up to Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm not gonna lie. Age is, in footballing terms, sometimes age is just a number. In footballing terms, the maturity that he displays and the pride of the share and the respect that he has for the club, because sometimes that affiliation to a club, like you look at the likes of Jack Grealish's with Aston Villas, you've seen the Lampards over the years, you've seen, Rio was a Leeds lad, then went over to Man. That can weigh heavy on an individual. Even to the point now where you've got Calvin Phillips, he doesn't want to go to Man U because of that affiliation with Leeds and stuff like that. It can weigh heavy on a player where you're just like, if it's not meant to be, if it's not aligned, it's more pressure than it's actually worth. I'm probably best getting out. But I can't see Trent ever looking to leave Liverpool, because not only is he in a team that's world class, he is going to want to redefine that when he is the captain, when he's that mature figurehead of the team. He's already a very important, integral part, but when he's looked upon as the figurehead and the guy to go to with all the experience, in 5-6 years' time, when we're talking about who in our team's been there, done it all, won it all, the answer's Trent. He's going to want then another crop of world-class players around him that do it with him. He will handhold them across the journey, and I just think it's a testament to his family for being able to bring up such a grounded human being. And it's a testament to Liverpool Football Club that it's not easy to bring through these academy players and get them to Premier League level, let alone be able to bring through an academy player that goes on to ascend to become world class, best in class, top number one in his position in the world. And that wasn't his natural position. He's learned it. So the intelligence of this young man, you can't underestimate it. People that say they can't, Trent wouldn't get into City's team or you wouldn't get into Chelsea's team, blah, 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 blah. They're just chatting shit because they don't know. Every manager across world football would absolutely pay tooth and nail. If there was a price to be paid or a contract in a clause in his contract to get him from Liverpool, managers would be pulling that trigger every single transfer window to get hold of a Trent Alexander-Arnold.
No one can afford him.
No. Priceless.
That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say.
I think enough said. No, not enough said. There can never be enough said about Trent, but absolutely spot on and very well said. Steve, penalties. Again, mentality time. Not only penalties, Steve, again, but this time we lose the toss.
Mm-hmm.
Both tosses, in the fact that they have the choice of end and they have the choice of taking the penalty kick first as well. When that happened, are you thinking, all right, look, we can't surely win another penalty shootout, can we, against Chelsea? Or are you still thinking, nope, doesn't matter if it's in their end, doesn't matter if they're taking the first penalty, we're still going to come through this? How are you feeling at the start of the penalty shootout? Before we go into the penalty shootout, you know what, Errol? I know you have to jump out, so maybe it's a good time to go now. Again,
we have to go. Pens was sick. Costas, Stout,
Come on.
all of that. Boys, I will catch up with you soon. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Nice one,
man.
No doubt. Grizz, thank you for having me on, brother. Saints, if you're on Twitter, follow me. I'll follow you back.
I will do, without a doubt.
I will catch up as well, my guy. Steve, as always, brother, it's a pleasure. And I will catch you all soon. Everybody in the chat, big up yourselves.
Legend. Nice one. Steve, penalty shootout time. How you feeling? What are you thinking? Because I'm a little bit nervous because this time it's not in front of us.
Yeah.
It's in front of them. They're not hostile. Again, they're plastic. We know they're plastic. And I'll tell you why, guys. One of the most embarrassing parts of the whole afternoon was in the penalty shootout. Tuchel and his coaching staff and senior players are having to rev up the crowd to become hostile.
Yeah, to give atmosphere in that.
Are you serious?
Allow it, bro.
Is that how plastic and you guys are? We were more hostile from over 100 meters away on the other side. Yeah. So that gave me encouragement. But at the end of the day, penalty shootout's a penalty shootout, because I know Mendy's a magnificent goalkeeper.
Yep.
We haven't got Fabinho on the pitch to take a penalty. We haven't got Salah to take a penalty. We haven't got Van Dijk to take a penalty. That's 3 nailed-on penalty takers that I'm thinking, oh, I'm not on the pitch. So I'm 50-50 at this stage. How are you?
I'm a bit better than you, to be honest. If you're 50-50, I don't think players at that level, the mentality monsters, read too much into which fans that you take the penalties in front of. It just means you have to run further if you win it, because you've got to run all the way to the other end to celebrate with your fans.
That makes the moment better, though.
Yeah, of course it does. I remember the Carragher run in 2005. Don't know how he did it, but he did, with all that cramp. But at the end of the day, the players that stepped up to take the penalties, you believe in them. Every time somebody got the ball and they were walking forward to take the penalty, I was like, okay, I'm cool with this. This is fine. You're right, Mendy's a very good goalkeeper, and the movements on the line made it very difficult, because if he chooses to go to the left and you choose to go to the left, he's almost there anyway. So that makes it really difficult. And Alisson doesn't have the best record at saving penalties, to be brutally honest with you. It's not something that he's not Pepe Reina in that regard. It's not something that we would big him up for everything else. But maybe we will now. At the end of the penalty shootout, he delivered. So Mendy's making it difficult. He's very, very moving. He's in the eye line of all of the players who was hiking up to take their shots. I didn't doubt any of them. I didn't even doubt Tsimikas at the end of the penalty. There's something about that boy. He's in it for what he is. He's just a cool guy. Great to be around the squad. I don't know if you've seen the video when Milner stood with his back to the final penalty and he jumps up in the air and he scores. Grizz, you're right. Second penalty shootout, same opposition. Maybe it is a different goalkeeper, and you're thinking, please let this go our way, because it isn't going to be good enough to come onto shows like this and say, well, it's one each, so it kind of balances itself out, because I don't want it to balance itself out. I want this to carry on for as long as is possible till the final kick of the final game of the season. We need to be there, challenging for all the things that we're challenging for. And obviously, Mane misses his penalty, and you're thinking, where's the momentum? Where's the momentum now? Because I had him down for that 100%. Two winning penalties for Senegal in the AFCON and the World Cup qualifiers, and you're thinking to yourself, he's got this. And it wasn't a great penalty, and Mendy doesn't have to do much to save it. And then Jota slots one. Jota's penalty was absolutely amazing, given the pressure. It's the first one of the sudden death, when you know if you miss, you lose. Ice cool, absolutely ice cool. I know Mendy got a hand to it, but the trajectory and the power was far too great. And then Mason Mount steps up and Alisson makes the save, and obviously Tsimikas does what he does for us. It is right. It is another chapter in the mentality monsters. Lose the toss, like you say, go to the away fans, ride through that like it doesn't matter. All the guys that stepped up delivered the goods, bar one, but we'll forgive him that because he's got a lot in credit with us as El Sadio. Alisson delivered at the most important time. Big, strong hand, good save. Not a great penalty, but still a good save. And then Tsimikas just bends one in the bottom corner with all the cheek in the world and starts off on his celebratory run. And you're thinking, I had tears in my eyes, because it would have been nice to sit and watch that with my dad. He would have really enjoyed that, but he's not with us anymore. So for me, it was quite an emotional thing, more so than the Carabao Cup final, because one of my first memories of a cup final was an FA Cup final with my dad. So very poignant for me, very poignant for us all. But do you know what? It's a massive, massive stride towards what we need to do. I think we go into Southampton, we go into Wolves, and we go to Real Madrid. with enthusiasm and a spring in our step and vigor, because we've got to a point where we got to dance in the changing room with the trophy and sing songs and enjoy ourselves. And that is a huge shot in the arm for a team that's tired, clearly is tired. I think we've all recognised that throughout this pod. So the mentality over the physicality and the skill gets you through a penalty shootout in those conditions. And I'm proud of what they did on that day.
Not only proud, I just want to touch upon the celebration, Nick, and I want you to talk to me about how you felt watching the pictures of the players, coaches, from Jurgen Klopp to the guy who puts out the kit, the togetherness, and even talk me through the mentality and the camaraderie of when Sadio Mane, your talisman, misses a penalty, and we're thinking, we don't care, no problem, Sadio, you're still the king. First and foremost, how did you feel for Sadio? Because I was thinking, not Sadio, anyone but Sadio. Sadio doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve this, how much energy and passion and fight he's come through and everything about him. He's an absolute warrior. But then the team just showed itself that we're a team. They carried Sadio's emotion, and then Alisson steps up. Whenever we need, someone steps up in this team. And then just watching those guys celebrate at the end, again, like Steve, made me emotional, bro. It made me so emotional seeing these guys, because we're finally getting the what we deserve, which is trophies, right? Everyone's talking about us being a great team, but put trophies in the cabinet and then we talk. And now he's mopped up all the trophies there is to mop up. Now these players, and you know what? The celebrations at the end, for me, I was just sat there just looking at them, and to a man, they had so much emotion and joyous. The scenes of joyousness was amazing to see, bro.
No, you're right, bro. You know what? In actual fact, now I've just been sitting here listening to you talking. That I think, to be very honest with you, it was a great. It was a great way to kind of culminate everything that we are encapsulate as a club. Shout out my boy Ishmael, like I said, he was there and you met. And he sent me, and I know I've seen it in the chat. Couple people that have seen it. If you've managed to see it, it's a great read. And it documents the moments leading up to the penalty shootout, and they do it obviously in comparison to Tuchel and Klopp. And so it's like you said, it's all about trophies, and it's all about, you know, the trophies you're getting now, but the work, the methodical kind of planning that goes into moments like this is none more so exampled than in those moments of Klopp. Straight away, that's why when you see him, he's running down the tunnel and all of them things. As soon as things happened, he's straight there. Straight went to each person individually, talked to them about having a plan, whatever. Then started gearing them up, gave them, as opposed to Tuchel, who hasn't really got a clue who he's picking, is in the middle whilst he's making the decisions, picking. So when he's asking people, it's not in a safe environment, and so I say that to say, when Mane missed, I thought to myself, flipping hell, man, like this is when the penalty started, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, nah, this is done. Like, there's no way that they're not gonna win another final. Like, this is them. But like Steve said, when each person started stepping up, I was like, I rate my man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have any. I was like, nah, this is gonna be all right. Then Mane misses it, and I thought, nah, this is it. But when I looked at the team and the way that they reacted, even how Mane reacted, he kind of like grimaced or smiled, like it's all right. And they just got back to it, much like Steve says. And that then takes me back to the beginning of when Klopp, the way he manages, do you know what I mean? The way he was managing them and all of that method, that planning that comes with it. And that's us as a team. Do you know what I mean? So then when we win it, that celebration and that, it's a culmination of, it's exactly that. It's the culmination of the mental pressure, stress of having to, do you know what I mean, methodically plan for everything. Then the players, like, basically acting out all of that strategy, and, you know, that's all they can do. And then it's just it's just like, oh man. And like you said, from the groundsman to everyone, it was just, I was just looking at random people in the crowd and just thinking, this is my team, man. This is it. This is, yeah, that feeling is amazing, man. And it was something to behold. Like, I want more of it. I want more of it.
Steve, we want more of it. We want more of it. We have no rest. We have no time to rest on our laurels. We have no time to sort of celebrate too much. Sadio was asked, he goes, well, we're going to have a party, in this dressing room. Maybe some tomorrow, but back to seriousness. Especially after today's events, we're not going to touch upon it too much because we've got to concentrate on what we have to do. The task in hand for us is to win 3 remaining games of the season. But we know we do need help from others. That first team we turned to for help was West Ham, who at half-time had me really, really dreaming. The dream is still alive, but it was very close to being more alive than I thought maybe a week or two ago. But the fact that it's still alive gives us fresh impetus if it was needed to go to Southampton. We are absolutely battered physically, possibly mentally, but this was the mental lift that we needed to go again. What do you do Tuesday now, Steve? What do you do Tuesday? Because I said last night, and I'm going to stick to it. I don't think it's possible from a sports science point of view to make those, or even majority of those players to go again. I know we've spoken about before that he sways a lot with what the sports science team says.
Yeah.
I think this is a very tricky one.
Well, they'll be there with a laptop in the morning, won't they, looking at what the players are giving them in terms of stats and things, and he'll be told who he can't use. But there's nothing like hang on a minute, did they just draw 2-2 with West Ham to give you an extra 10% mentally, which is more important right now than physically, if that makes sense. Mental fatigue is much harder to deal with than physical fatigue.
Yep.
So we'll be strong because we have to win that game, because we have to go to the final game of the season, because Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, other teams, Leicester to some degree, have pulled it out or lost it at key times of the season when you don't expect them to. And there's no guarantee that Manchester City win against Aston Villa. We've got connections there, don't forget. So I can see it being, it's got to go to the last day. We can't go to Southampton with a side that doesn't do the business and then spend the next 2 weeks leading up to a Champions League final going, but why did we do that? Because that'll do your head in, and you won't prepare properly for the Champions League final, and there'll be issues after that. So we go strong. We go strong as we can. I think it'll be Bobby, Sadio, and Diaz potentially. That would be my front three, just to sort of allude to who I would use there. And then I think behind that is where we'll see the changes. We've got to use these guys sparingly, and we've got to make sure that Wolves, which is a more difficult fixture, is the one we're stronger for. And we get the players that need to be focused for the Real Madrid game playing football, because we don't do well when we give players rests. We often see at the end of international breaks, we struggle to find our mojo in the first game after the international break. So there would be no sense. What is it today? What date is it today? There would be no sense in giving the 15th, giving Thiago's 12 days off and bringing him back in on the 28th to play a European Cup final. That makes no sense at all. These guys need to be playing games of football and getting in the groove. But I don't think we'll see massive amount of... We won't be at our strongest against Southampton. We can't afford to be. I think you're right. Sports science will dictate that. But we'll also know that the worst thing we can do this season, this far into the season, is go to Southampton and not give Manchester City a job to do on the last day of the season, not make them have to kick every ball strain, every sinew pull, every muscle right up until the 95th minute of the final kick into the season to make them earn the right to call themselves champions, or indeed make us the right to call ourselves Premier League champions. It's a war of attrition between now and the end of that last game, and we need to go to Southampton and we have to come away from there with 3 points, because then we don't need City to lose. We just need to win our game and hope that the footballing gods are smiling down on us, and they want to see us do the quadruple and watch the internet break. But at the end of the day, it's being in it to win it, and we have to be in it to win it. Come the end of the Southampton game.
Steve's nailed it, Nick. He's spot on everything he said, because quadruples aren't easy, and if you want to win a quadruple, you have to go through pain, anxiety, stress, all of that, and we're going to have to, as a team, as a club, as a fan base, we're going to have to go to Southampton despite how tired they are. Injuries, we haven't got the luxury, like someone said about Madrid, playing different 11s every week now until the final and resting up, totally freshening up his team every game. But that's because they're only in the Champions League final. We are in absolutely every game matters mode. Southampton, we have to go there and get something. No, we have to go there and win. And we have to make sure. I don't think we have to win well anymore. I don't think, because it's not about goal difference anymore, Nick. So that's
no, just for us. And I say win well, not even in terms of score, but win well. Do you know what I mean? So that can then carry. Do you know what I mean? Like, what we want to do is
the momentum.
Yeah, that momentum. We want to go and win well, not in terms of we got to go and batter them or whatever, but just go and put out a good performance so we can look at ourselves and go, right, we're good.
Are you with Steve and thinking that we go as strong as possible? Like, obviously, Virgil van Dijk won't play. Obviously, Mo Salah won't play. By the way, the news on Mo and Virgil is very, very positive. They don't need a scan as such, which indicates there's no serious injury. It's muscle soreness, fatigue, so hopefully, fingers crossed, they're good. But there's no way they're going to be risked on Tuesday. Taking that into consideration, Nick, Fabinho's out, and the two players that we've mentioned, Mane looked dead on his feet. Luis Diaz, someone told me, is his 70th first game.
I don't want. That's the Luis
what
Diaz.
Are you doing? What are you
Shout
doing?
out Coppish, innit? Because Luis Diaz has played more games than there are days in the calendar year. He's the player that's played. He's played the most amount of football out of anyone. And due to that, and because of what we said earlier on, Grizz, the ingenuity that he brings to that attacking line, brother. Like, honestly, I need it. I need it fresh. And for me, Diaz don't start against Southampton. And I don't think, with all due respect, that we need Diaz to beat Southampton. Like, I just don't. But one thing I do 1000% agree with Steve on, hit the nail on the head. We are not good with a break. So a lot of these players, I wouldn't be resting all the way up until the final. And because was the last day of the fight, hopefully we would have done what we needed to do in the last days.
We're not good with a break, but we're not good with a break. But we also are picking up muscle strains because of the amount of games and the intensity of the games. Yeah. So we have to bear this in mind, people. So I'm going to put you on the spot. No, you're here to be. I'm not here to make it easy for you on your debut, bro. You ain't come on my show to have it all nice and rosy and cozy and give on the fence answers. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Hit me.
I want you to pick your team live on the Red Fellas podcast. I want you to pick your team that you think you think will start against for Tuesday, knowing that the situation we're in. Are you resting Henderson?
I was just about to say, even at the beginning, I don't even know, like, because Ali had a bit of a mad one. Do you know what I mean? So, I wouldn't know. I'm gonna go Ali. I'm gonna go Gomez. I'm gonna go
Matip, surely, because he didn't start.
Matip, yeah, I was just about to say he didn't start. So Matip.
You're going again with a young 22-year-old who's played.
Yeah.
You're gonna go again with him. He's young, he's strong enough. Yeah,
he's strong enough. He's good enough. I thought they were both really good. I'll go there, and I will.
Scouse
I really liked him. It's gotta be like I really liked him when he came on, regardless of the penalty. With all of that, how do you then bench him? Not for me personally. So I'd go. That's my back line. Then the middle, obviously, it's got to be Hendo.
Sneak Curtis Jones for you. Let's pick it
I'd say
together because Nick's stuck. I can see on his face he's stuck.
Yeah, it's hard, bro. I'm picking players, and I'm like, no, Thiago, no, he just don't
Okay,
know.
Nick, question for you: are you playing Keita?
Yes, I am playing Keita.
Okay, because if you don't play Keita, you've got to play Trent. Because there's your trade-off and your creativity. You can't leave both out the team for me.
I'm playing Keita because I liked him and I think he's all right. I'm not playing Thiago though. I don't think I want to play Thiago.
Jones, it would be Jones for me.
Exactly that. That's not bad.
Ox.
No.
Elliot.
No.
Oh, Elliot. No. Ox no. Allow that, Griezmann.
Elliot probably makes the bench. Elliot probably makes the bench. I think Ox has run his course at Liverpool, and not through any fault of his own. The way we play football, he likes to pick up the ball, run into spaces. Because we play with the back line so far up the pitch, we can press those spaces, and I think he struggles with that. He struggles with the game plan, and I just think it's too risky for a guy that hasn't played in recent weeks to throw him in at that point because he's cold and he's not feeling it in the way that some of the other players are. So, based on what Nick's just said, Hendo in the 6, Keita and Jones is a more than adequate midfield to go to Southampton with. I agree with the back 4. Depending on how Alisson's leg reacts to the studding he got from Marcus Alonso, if he's got tissue bruising, don't be surprised to see Kelleher play instead. Because we've got no fear of playing him. He's as good a number 2 goalkeeper as you'll find.
As there is in Europe.
Yeah, so we shouldn't worry about that.
Well, I did say that as well.
Yeah.
And also, can we not forget about the reason that, again, I wouldn't start Thiago is because of the thing that he did from James. Remember, James got him quite badly.
He took a
sore one. So I'd like to.
I don't think there's any chance. I don't think. Again, I agree. I don't think Thiago's anywhere near the team. When I say team, like sort of starting, I meant. I've even got a doubt if. I think all 3 of them won't start in the team.
You don't think Keita?
No. Actually, he came off in the 70th minute.
That's what I mean. He didn't have a full night, and he looked good.
Millie starts. Jones starts. I think they are dead nailed on certs. I think Gomez and Tsimikas and Matip are dead nailed on certs. Konate, young, fresh, strong. We go again. We've bigged him up. We've hyped him up today. Go and do your thing, my friend. And God bless him. Hopefully he comes through with shining colours. Up front, I'm going to go totally opposite of Steve. Steve picked Diaz, Mane, and Bobby.
Yeah,
Bobby is nailed on. I don't think Mane starts.
Johnson.
I don't think Diaz starts, to be honest.
So what you're saying, you can't play Divock out wide because
this is the problem, Steve. I was just going to say, this is the
why
problem.
I'm sitting here sitting here like, oh,
this is a problem. Origi, this is Origi time now. This is Bobby time now. They've had rest. Don't forget Taki, who has stepped in and done very well every time he's been asked.
And he knows Southampton. He knows Southampton as well.
He knows Southampton. He was on loan there. But this is the fucking business end of the season.
Chris, why did you do this to us?
I'm being real. I'm being honest. I'm being real. Am I wrong?
No.
You're right.
No.
You're kidding. You're right.
Do you see the demons that we're fighting with in our heads? And imagine what Klopp and the team are thinking now. Because if City won today, I genuinely think there would have been 9-8 changes.
Yeah.
City didn't win. It gives us a glimmer of hope.
You're right.
We've got to take it to the last day now.
Listen,
Mane has to play.
If City win today,
has to play.
If City win today, Tyler Morton's playing, mate. That's
I think there's a difference. I think there's possibly 9 changes. Yeah, I think there's 9-10 changes.
I think Mane has to play. Mane or Diaz. I personally would give it to Mane because Diaz is tired. I don't think he is.
I don't think he is tired.
He looks tired at 70 to me, bro.
He looks fresh as a daisy, mate. He's cutting inside and having a go in the 105th minute and stuff like that. And
but you can't, in terms of like, if you look at it though, he has played hella minutes. hella minutes. I don't, and what I want to do is rest Mane and rest.
Here's
Diaz,
2 words
but
for
it's
you.
not gonna
2
work.
words
It's not gonna
for you.
work.
Muscle memory. He's playing off muscle memory, and you can't overrule that and overlook that. And if he is fresh and he doesn't look tired to me, and you take him out and you rest him, and you bring him back in, you run the
Wolves.
risk of a tweak.
Wolves.
It's
You're not bringing him back for 12 days. It's Wolves. Bring him
I've
back
got
for
to shout.
Wolves.
I've got to shout out my friend. He was with me at the game. Big up. He's saying
Big
the
up
way you
yourself.
boys are carrying on, we might
No,
as
we're
well
not.
play the reserves. We're not underestimating.
No,
Southampton
at all.
But I don't think he understands the state of the 11 that started and how our sports science team works. Look at the recent example of the Newcastle lineup. Go back to and there was a similar time scale, and he said I had no choice but to play. He won't play the same lineup, guys. I guarantee you with everything I have, he won't play that same strike force. As much as we possibly want them to, and machines, they go again, they cannot go again and again. Look at Salah picking up an injury. Look at Fabinho picking up an injury. Look at Virgil van Dijk picking up injury. Imagine now in this game, if we play the same players, imagine Thiago pulls up with a hamstring with 10 days to go before the final. Imagine Mane or Diaz picks up.
Let's just stop.
Well, this is my point. So we have to, it's not about underestimating others.
Yeah,
it's about preserving our own, what we've got, and
while at the same time trying to still go with. Do you know what I mean? Like,
we're not. We have to go there. Southampton in their final game of the season at home won't want to lay down. Hassan Hutel would want to put on a show. He thinks he's, Jurgen Klopp's his mentor. He wants to put on it. It's going to be tricky.
Thing is, Grizz, if this season was to run on for another 3 weeks, my money's on Southampton going down because they can't buy a win. They're in absolute wretched form. They can't go down as it is. They're safe. They're on the beach. They're going to sit and watch the teams in the bottom 3 fight it out, or the bottom 5 to fight out who goes down. I'm not underestimating them, but they are there for the taking. Their form is arguably the worst in the Premier League. So I think
there's this element of this team that I think may be the starting lineup from Owen. I don't know. I think this has got an element. Jones,
I'm with you. I'm not so sure on Milner, but I'm with you on that.
You don't think Milner will start?
I think Milner will start. I think he was amazing when he came on, and I think
Milner's nailed done.
I think Milner start. I think it's
six.
Hendo, Milner, Jota. No, Hendo in the 6. I put Hendo in the 6. Hendo has to. Yeah. Hendo has to though, bro. Like that's the one thing that has to, brother, because I do think we're taking the piss slightly with their midfield. Like if we try and put, has to. That one is the one thing that we don't have, unfortunately. We ain't got too many now. We've got to, innit? Other than that, everything else. And I think I'm gonna go. I've made a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I know Steve will go a different way, but I think I'm gonna, because he's just gonna have to just summon up that African ancestors from him, like Mane goes again. I know, brother, but like he's gonna have
needs
to
must. I know what you're saying.
Needs must, brother, and like maybe, and when I say go again, maybe early second half or something. No 90 minutes or nothing, but you're gonna have to start for us. I want to see Bobby, because Bobby didn't look fresh, and maybe Bobby can get some game time. What I would like is Origi, but I feel like it's more sensible getting the fitness out of Bobby, who might realistically start then. Do you know what I mean? Than Origi, because come on, brother, like he's more likely to put me on than Origi, it seems.
Do you know what we might see? Do you know what we might see? A 4-2-3-1, and then you can play Origi at the top of that one.
I was literally going to come onto that and say possible formation change, lads, because that way we can bring in Taki as well, possibly fresh, energized. We'll want to work hard for this team, and again, no Southampton. If
that's the case, then Mane gets a rest. I'll put him on the right. I'll put Mane on the. I put Taki on the right. Put Bobby through the middle, and I put Jota on the left. That's who I would play.
In a 4-2-3-1, you could do that, and you could play Origi advance to Bobby. So you've still got the link play. And then you have a double pivot.
You said you don't like that, though, Steve.
I've
been on streams with you, and you said that you hate that formation.
Like it.
Again, needs must.
But I will say this. I don't like it when you've got Salah and Mane included in it, when they used to play left and right because they wanted to run into the space that
same sprints.
This is a different dynamic. This is about making yourself offensively good enough to win the game, looking after a few bodies, and making sure your double pivot deals with the likes of Ward-Prowse, who you don't want firing off shots from distance, obviously.
I think there's a very good chance we see a formation change based on the personnel that we have available and fresh and fit. I don't think we would see a formation change if everything was normal. Of course,
yeah,
of course we wouldn't. But based 100%. On the state of some of the players' fitness and the fatigue and the way they were getting rubbed downs at the end, guys, they were battered. Robertson and Trent didn't even run around the pitch at the end. They just sat there. They were dead. They were gone. They were gone. You cannot push these guys again and again. You have to look for the longevity of their careers, possibly. Look what Tuchel said about Kovacic. He said his ankle. I didn't know he didn't know that the ankle that size can fit in a boot. What does that say? Jurgen Klopp's not that guy that will risk someone's career possibly like that. If they're in the red zone, they're in the red zone. So it's an amazing decision that we've got to make, but it's an amazing position to be in, lads. We're now finally going into the last week of the Premier League domestic season, and we are still dreaming of a quadruple. We said it from about 2 months out. Let's take it into the last game of the season. And if we can, we are proud. We are supporting this team. I don't care what anyone says anymore, guys. Whatever happens, I'm not letting anyone put a dampener on this season. I'm not going to let anyone talk this team down. From my personal, I will fight from the trenches, man. This team has made me proud. The journeys I've been on personally and all of you guys and emotional and everything. It's been a momentous season on the back of last season, which was mad in a different way. It was so emotional. Go on, Steve.
So what we do, we want 4. If we get 4, beautiful. We've got 2. I'll see you guys at the parade because we will celebrate this.
100%.
Oh, for sure. It's a season to celebrate. It's a season to dream still, and that's a magnificent position to be in. No team has ever gone to the final week and dreamt of a quadruple. Like, think about that sometimes. Think about the levels that we've reached.
It's ridiculous. It's like it'll just come up on Twitter, won't it? It'll just say completed it, and then the internet will break, and that'll be it.
That'll be it.
It is, guys. It's been. We've tried to discuss everything we can, possibly in the limited time we have. We could carry on talking all night, but I know you guys have lives, so I'm gonna appreciate your time. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having us, man. Come on.
Man, it's been an absolute pleasure as usual. This has been the Red Fellas on your Sunday night. People, don't give up on this team, man. Just when we think, it's looking unlikely, we go again and again and again. This is a special club, a special manager, special team, special fans. Let's be the special fans that they deserve.
Come on, do our job.
Do our job, and because they most certainly are doing their job.
By all means.
Good luck to the Redmen this week. We will have a post-match. We'll have a preview tomorrow for you guys. We will have a post-match, and then we will have a build-up to the weekend, the final weekend to the Premier League season. You guys have been amazing. If you haven't liked the stream, I don't know why. Maybe you got something personal against me or Nick or Steve.
Like up the stream.
If you haven't, because there's no other reason not to like this show. The panel have been amazing. I've been sitting here doing the easy job and asking the questions, and they've filled you guys with insight and respectful chat that you don't get on every shows, man. I'm telling you that now for real. There's no gassing up on this channel. We try to keep it 100 and respect all opinions. So many disagree in the chat as well, which is allowed. I don't block anyone who's disagreeing. We only block abuse of any form. So I'm happy. I'm sitting in a good place, guys. Like the stream on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. We will see you tomorrow. Possibly we go again. Take care.